owe your ass an apology. But about a month ago, you blessed us with your presence on AYS and said that you may or may not have heard little rumblings about Will Wade and a possible notice of allegations coming to Mr. Wade. And it's interesting because what you said actually happened. It's like you're a journalist. Oh my God. Matt, can you just take the fans and everybody? First off, how you doing? And second off, can you just take the fans on what actually was going on and what you were hearing about a month ago? Is it pretty much how it played out?
Yeah, no, I actually did catch a little bit. I'm at my girlfriend's house, so the dog might be playing a little bin here, trying to interrupt the broadcast. So we're just gonna have to play defense against her or whatever. But no, it's really funny because you were talking about. I think the one thing that we have said from the very beginning of everything since 2019, this stuff has been so obvious, and it's not like, I'm not going to say that, oh my God, every person on the Baton Rouge beat knew that Will Wade was paying people, and we had evidence that he was paying kids. No, but every media member on the Baton Rouge beat knew it or heard stories. We might not have had really clear, concise details, but you hear stuff, and some of it was outlandish and some of it wasn't true. But I mean, there was enough circling around that if you put your ear to the ground, you were going to hear something. And it was everywhere. I mean, it really was. And so, like, look, I'll tell you, it's funny because this weekend, I had a mentor of mine that I got my start in TV at a TV station in Richmond, Virginia. And when I started there, Shaka Smart was at VCU. And then I think like right after I left, Will Wade came into VCU. And I had one of my mentors text me this weekend and be like, hey, Will Wade out at LSU, like kind of crazy, but not surprised. I always thought that he was greasy when he was at VCU. That was what someone that covered him at VCU told me. So I was just kind of like, yeah, you know, and look, let's state the obvious too. Let's not act like Will Wade is the only person in college basketball, much less college athletics, that's paying kids.
Right.
Before NIL. Like
right,
it just
correct.
wasn't, it happened all the time. Your favorite basketball coach has paid players to play at their institutions, period.
No question.
So like, you know, it started and I got here in 2019, you know, and Will Wade had the 2019 team, 2020 team that was cut short due to the pandemic. And that was a really good team. And then last year, again, was a pretty decent team. And then this year, pretty decent team. But I was looking at it and I was like, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't, and as any journalist will tell you, you go a lot when you cover something off of feel. Whether you're hunting down a story, whether you're doing a story, following up a lead, or you just go off a feel. If it doesn't feel right, most of the time it's not right. And I was like, I don't understand why we have this persona about Will Wade that he's invincible, that he's bulletproof, and that he can do whatever he wants, and he's untouchable, and he just seems to maneuver his way through all these sticky situations unscathed. And people at the same time knew that he was wrong, but that kind of, in a sense, helped his persona. It helped his image with LSU fans.
So wild, but yeah.
And I get it. Like Calipari, in a sense, is the same way at Kentucky. Like Calipari changed Derrick Rose's SAT scores when he was at Memphis. Like he did,
right?
You know, essentially. But like he was smart enough to do that same type of thing at Kentucky where he hasn't gotten caught or caught as bad as Will Wade. So I was sitting here and I was like, and then that's when I, had my opinion piece where I was like, I don't understand for a guy that has pretty good success, but we think that he's on the level of the Coach K's of the world, the Roy Williamses of the world, the Bill Selfs of the world, and stuff like that. And I got trashed for it. I got flamed for it.
I know.
And, it is what it is. But, like, I looked at that stuff now, and I was just kind of like, I still don't understand it. Because there's still people that are defending Will Wade.
I know.
I see people all the time that are like, Show me the evidence. Well, the Federal Bureau of Investigation gave you that evidence. They gave it in a report that was a notice of allegations.
Well, and
Well, it only says allegations. It's not true. No, the FBI did an extensive, research and an extensive investigation, and they found it. It's there.
Right.
Like it's not one of these things where it's not politics where it can be up for interpretation. There's literally no interpretation for this. Will Wade was found guilty. I mean, he was. It's there. And I thought the one thing that was hilarious and I've seen people respond to your stuff when you had comments about Will Wade and my stuff, is that, it's just a lazy take. It's a lazy take to just go out there and attack Will Wade.
Right.
No, what was lazy was not figuring out that you had to maybe set up a fake bank account or set up a fake LLC to stash and move money, but yet use a joint bank account that you and your wife both have. That to me is lazy.
That's just comical to me, Matt. Like it's comical, right?
I was telling someone the other day, and the fact that, look, when you go up against the government agency, those government agencies are undefeated against us normal people 100% of the time.
No doubt.
Look, that you will not win. You will not win. I was telling someone at the LSU baseball game on Sunday, if I am squeaky clean, I got no outside of like outside of like a few parking tickets, speeding tickets and stuff, I'm pretty good. All right, I'm pretty good. I would not do well in jail. I'm just going to tell you, I would not do well. So outside of that, like, if the FBI came up to me and was like, hey, we're investigating you for X, Y, and Z, we have a reason to believe that you're involved, I'm giving them everything. I'm giving them literally everything on the spot. My wallet, my phone, my girlfriend, like everything. I'm giving it to them. Like, take it all. Because that's some smoke that I don't want.
Right.
So like, that is the thing. And people want to say that Will Wade got in trouble for paying kids. Well, everybody does it. No, it's not true. Will Wade didn't get in trouble for paying kids. Will Wade didn't get in trouble for paying people around those kids, those recruits. Will Wade's own ego got him in trouble.
Correct.
Will Wade's own ego got him in trouble because he thought that he came to a program and he made it relevant for a couple of years, which he did. It's no shocker. And he said, well, I did this. I'm amazing. And then the fan base jumped on that and they said, yeah, you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. He believed it and he went with it. And he just thought that, hey, I'm going to live this American gangster narrative that has been created by the institution that I'm at and the fan base. And I'm just going to continue to do it. He got, as my parents love to say, too big for his britches. Okay?
Tell me you're from North Carolina without telling me you're
from North Carolina without telling me you're from North Carolina. But he did, like, I just think that if you're arrogant enough to think that you have a bank account that you and your wife have together, and you think that no one is going to notice thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars coming out, the same increments every time, large increments. Like, we're not talking about $200 or $300 for groceries.
Right.
We're talking about $3,000 and $4,000, $5,000, upwards of $10,000 coming out at one time. No one carries that much cash around on them. They just really don't do that.
Well, and what's even wild to me, and we got some questions fired in here for you, Matt, too. What's crazy to me is he told the NCAA that his wife is over the finances, like in some aspect, kind of throwing her under the bus. But I got to give a shout out to our good friends over at the Golden Boot Pod. They said Matt has seen a lot of things, but he never saw Justin Jefferson. Anyway, we had to throw that in here, just because that's a Twitter Space inside joke. But Matt Trent joining us, WBRZ. You can follow him on Twitter, MCTrent23. He does a lot of great things. I watch him every night. You can ask my wife. My wife was on the phone with Matt a couple of weeks ago saying, you guys are celebrities. I'm like, well, if I'm talking to Matt, what does that make me? And she said, a normal person. Either way, Matt Trent's joined us. Matt, a lot of people are asking inside the comments, Is there anything that anybody that you believe that could take over this job? And is this Scott Woodward's toughest coaching search? Look, now, Matt, we've been through 4 ourselves, yourself, myself, at least since 2019. This has to be the toughest coaching search for him with all the sanctions that are about to be levied on LSU basketball, right?
I think it's tough, and I think it's the easiest at the same time. It's tough because, you've got to come in here with all of these sanctions that are about to be levied on the program, and you need someone that's going to be okay trying to build a program for at minimum a year, maybe a couple, where you might not be eligible for postseason play, like or reduce scholarships or whatever they levy, down to LSU basketball. So you've got to have someone that can maneuver that, and you feel confident enough that they can weather the storm for a couple of years if they get hired. However, I think it's easiest because it's not like LSU football. Because LSU football since 2019, the fall from grace was pretty big.
Right.
11-11 coming from a 15-0 2019 national championship, that's huge. And with all the other stuff, as we've seen in the past 2 years with Coach O and everything that went on there, I mean, it was messy. And that took a lot. And Brian Kelly, for the record, has done incredible since he has stepped on campus with fine-tuning and just mopping up the mess. So you need someone that can come in and do that type of things. But let's be honest, LSU basketball has been pretty good in the SEC. Right. Have they been nationally relevant to the point where we're making deep runs in the tournament? We're in the conversation to be a Final Four team every year. Much less we're getting past the second round of the SEC tournament. Okay? Like, let's be real with ourselves. LSU is not a blue blood basketball program right now. Could it be? 1,000%. They've got everything imaginable resources-wise to get there. So when you've got that type of program and that institutional support like they can have and they do have with Scott Woodward for basketball, I think it's going to take a coach that is obviously a huge name, because Scott Woodward is not going to go for Joe Blow down at Louisiana Sisters of the Poor to come and coach LSU. It's just not going to happen. So you need someone that's a big name, that's going to attract kids there, but also have the intellectual capital to know this is what I'm dealing with, but I can also get it to where we want to go. Like, it's going to take a big name, but it's going to take a big name in resume and ego, really, too. Kim Mulkey is a prime example.
So last one on basketball, and then I want to get to you because you said some really good comments about Brian Kelly just a second there, and I want to get to your thoughts on that. That's the interesting part, is he wants a big name. Matt, do you think he can do it, though? I mean, because, look, I don't know how serious it's going to be, and they don't really know how serious it's going to be at this point. What do you – and then, look, I understand that there's some kids that could transfer, kids that could decommit, but NIL changes that game. The portal changes that game, right? So what if they only get a season bowl ban, and then you have the portal and NIL? Matt, you could have one bad season and then push for a tournament within 2 because of name, image, and likeness, and because of the transfer portal. Do you think that this is maybe not going to be as dire as some believe because of name, image, and likeness in the portal?
I think that if any LSU fan has a trepidation about the future of LSU basketball, Kim Mulkey has calmed all of it.
I agree.
I think if you look at what Kim Mulkey has done with this program that was kind of run into the ground by Nikki Fargas, and it wasn't a premier program, Kim Mulkey in 1 year is now a 3 seed.
So wild.
In the 3 seed. 25 wins, the biggest turnaround from a team that won 9 last year. Like the early exit in the SEC tournament, like, whatever. 25 wins from 9, and you're back in the tournament for the first time, I think, since 2018. You're that high of a seed. You're hosting games for the first 2 rounds for the first time since 2014. She came in here and cleaned house, and it was quick. I don't want to take another victory lap, but I said when she was hired, it's going to be immediate. Kim Mulkey does not wait around for anybody on any level. She is going to do things her way, and they have let her. Scott has told her, hey, I think that's the beauty of Scott Woodward, is that a great leader trusts his subjects or the people that are under him to do a good job, just because he knows that I have relayed a very concise and specific message to them. Okay.
Right.
Scott Woodward is not in here muddying the waters saying, I want you to do this and I want you to shut up. And he has told every single coach, from the ones that were there that aren't there anymore to the ones that are currently here, be yourself, win games. Don't really care how you do it. Win. Kim Mulkey has done that. So I think, and you're seeing now too, like, I just went on to Twitter, and I think the entire starting five for LSU women inked an NIL deal with Gamecoin.
Gamecoin, right.
How many, like, let's be real here. How many women's basketball players, not just players, but a starting five, could you say, oh yeah, they'll get an NIL deal like that?
Matt, it's not out there like that.
It's not. And look, it's a problem for us, like, is the media providing more coverage of women's basketball. Obviously, it's getting a lot better. But women's sports aren't covered as equally or more intensely as they are as men. And that's our fault. But, like, Kim Mulkey comes in and NIL deals left and right.
And you know she's working that too, Matt. Like, maybe I shouldn't say it like that, but maybe not her. Let me retract my statement. But what I meant to say is that she is building people wanting to do that. Let me rephrase it like that.
Let's put it this way. If you're a business owner and you're an LSU alum or a diehard LSU fan, and Kim Mulkey comes to you and says, hey, I want you to give my starting five or some of my girls an NIL deal, are you going to tell her no?
I'm going to say yes, ma'am. It's kind of like when you talked about the FBI earlier. I'm not going to say nothing. I'm
not telling Kim Mulkey no. I'm not. Kim Mulkey could tell me to do my entire sports cast naked, and I'd be like, okay, cool. 100%. I'm not telling her no, because but that's why she's so dynamic as a coach and as a recruiter. Like, I watched her yesterday at the watch party. She commands attention, and she's so likable on a lot of levels because she can chew you out and give you fantastic advice while getting in your you-know-what. But she can also come back and love you like a southern Louisiana woman only knows how to. And I think that's the beauty of her as a coach and just as a human being.
Zach Nunez is chiming in. One of your
shocker, Zach Nunez with a terrible take. That's shocker. Death, taxes, and his takes.
All right. Well, you completely did. All right. We'll move on. Way to go, Zach. As you Kermit the Frog the beer. I love it. I absolutely love it. Matt, you talked about Brian Kelly, and you talked about he's done fantastic. Now, I want to ask you this question because the last time we were here, you said that Brian Kelly was the most incredible coach that you had ever been around when it comes to talking to him one-on-one, basically on how blown away you were about being around him. Now, today it was announced about all the access that he's going to be able to give to his football team. Let me ask you this. Have you ever been a part of a program or media? I know you've been at Texas A&M and others that have football coaches given this much access to a team, or for the media, I should say, to a team.
I have been around programs that have given this much access, but they haven't been at the prominence of LSU. Let's put it that way.
Why do you think he's doing that? Why do you think he's doing it like that? I mean, he did it at Notre Dame. I mean, he just kind of translated over here.
I could spit out all of these like theoretical, hypothetical situations and reasonings, and I honestly don't know. But just from looking at it, Brian Kelly is a very smart man. And Brian Kelly is a very smart man. And I think he understands the purpose of the media, especially here, because I've said this from the very beginning. This market, Baton Rouge, just the state of Louisiana, LSU fans, the LSU fan base, they digest and ingest probably the most of any market or fan base that I've been around. You know, I really do. And I think they're the most passionate because they want to know everything and they want to. And everybody, like Alabama's just like that, but it's different for them, and it's different for everywhere else too. But for here, they will take any morsel you can give them about this program. You know, if LSU chess team won a national championship, there would be LSU chess 2022 national championship shirts at, Bengals and Bandits the next day. Like it would be. So what I'm saying is like, I think he understands our role and his role in this whole scheme, especially as a new coach, because I think people don't understand is that we can only, to a certain degree, run with the narrative that you give us, right?
Right.
Like, and especially this day and age, we don't need to be at practice every day to cover a team. We don't need to be at games all the time, in person to cover a game. We can cover it from the comfort of our home. We can. You're a prime example of that.
Correct.
And I think that he understands that, and I think there have been some narrative problems coming out of LSU the past couple of years with football. Things have been said versus not said and taken out of context and X, Y, and Z. And so I think he wants to set the record straight, and I think he wants to come in and have a very clear message. This is what we want. This is what we're going to do. And I'm an open book. I think that's the thing is Brian Kelly has been very open with us when we've talked to him. And I've heard that from coaches on staff. There has been a clear line of communication. There are no problems with figuring out what Brian Kelly wants and what he expects, period.
Well, and his actions are speaking louder than words. I mean, Jane Daniels puts the bow on that Christmas present. Welcome, you're here. So it's true. But I wanted to say this before we let you go, Matt. Scooby says Blake access equals NIL funds, which I kind of agree with that. The more you see, Matt, the more you – hey, if Jane Daniels is killing it in spring practice, what do you think is going to happen? If Joe Burrow's killing it in spring practice, what do you think is going to happen? Now, I mean, look, I'm excited for it. I'm glad he's doing what he's doing, so we'll go from there. Matt Trent, WBRZ, MC Trent 23, MC Trent 23. You can follow him there on Twitter. Matt, I think you might have some big news this week. I know St. Patty's Day is right around the corner. I don't want to spoil everything, but I know you're going to have a good week. But tell everybody what you'll be doing and what you got going on at BRZ.
You know what's crazy is I've been in Louisiana for 3 years, and this year was the first time I got to experience Mardi Gras. This will be the first parade, the St. Patrick's Day parade this Saturday, that I'll ever experience in person. And this is probably going to get me drugged through the coals even more than my Will Wade piece. 2 weeks ago, I had my first crawfish boil. Went to my first crawfish boil.
I'm so proud of you.
I'm proud of myself, but I also hate myself at the same time that it took this long. It was fantastic. It really was. It was fantastic. I should have been doing this even before I came to Louisiana. On Saturday for our St. Patrick's Day parade, myself and Brandy B. Harris are going to be co-hosting our Wearing of the Green parade special on WBRZ starting at 9:30 in the morning. It's going to be fun. I'm nervous because I don't really know how I'm going to handle the hecticness and the chaos that is the St. Patrick's Day parade. But when you have a brilliant co-host like Brandy B. Harris, everything just you just buckle up and you're along for the ride, really.
Absolutely. And look, it's going to be fun. Now, if you haven't seen TikTok, don't sing Kevin Gates because you don't want to go viral doing something.
Yeah,
like
I'm not going to be that guy that's like, is she super thick? No, I'm not. No, that's not going to be me. No.
Shout out Steven Barboza, our good friend. I know Steven Barboza, by the way. But shout out to Steven Barboza.
If anything, I'm going to be requesting like very subdued music, like James Taylor, maybe the Cardigans, stuff that's like very calm in nature.
I love it. Matt, you've been fantastic, man. We'll talk to you soon. That's Matt.